Hello all, and welcome back to Time to Dice Character Creation, where we make your favorite fictional characters in Starfinder 2nd Edition. Today, we're continuing on with Environmental Awareness Month. This week's environmental theme to be on the lookout for is air pollution. So I thought, what better way to represent air pollution than with the poison gas Pokemon themselves, Weezing. Weezing is I'm not actually sure what Weezing's supposed to be. Some kind of air balloon filled with poison gas? I know it eats gases given off by garbage and it emits a poisonous fog. The perfect idea for a Starfinder character, right? So, beware of spoilers, and without further ado, let's get started. So if we want to make Weezing, we're going to need 3 key ingredients. First off, while Weezing may have pretty lackluster offenses, it truly shines when it comes to incredible defenses, specifically in its physical defense. Next, we're a poison type, so that means we need to be able to resist poisons or be outright immune to them. And finally, we need to be able to emit various different types of gases onto the battlefield, to both poison our foes, or to simply grant our allies concealment. Alright, so as a Pokemon, Weezing really is kind of its own ancestry, albeit obviously one that doesn't have a direct counterpart in either Starfinder or Pathfinder, so we're going to have to approximate. What we need is an ancestor that has natural flight, is composed of 2 or more smaller versions of itself fused together, and can emit toxic gases. Well, if you're like I was when I first tried to make this character, you're probably stumped. But if you have a bit more experience with the game, you probably know exactly where I'm going with this. As a Barathu, we're going to start off with 10 hit points, and we're going to receive a boost to Constitution, Wisdom, and our Strength score, while taking a flaw to Dexterity. Makes sense. Speed is Weezing's lowest stat in the game. We also get limited telepathy and genetic adaptation, letting us telepathically communicate within 30 feet, and quickly retrain ancestry feats. We won't be using either of these features, but we also can't stop you from using them at your own game. Yet. And finally, for our heritage, we're going to go with the Merge heritage, increasing our size to large and giving us a +1 bonus to saves against emotion effects, reflecting how Weezing is just 2 coughing stuck together with a bit of super glue. For our background, as with all Pokemon, Weezing are forced to fight for the entertainment of their masters, all in the vain attempt to become the very best like no one ever was. That sounds like a gladiator to me. This background gives us a boost to strength and wisdom, as well as training in both performance and gladiator lore. And finally, we get the impressive performance skill feat, letting our battles leave an impression to any onlookers. For our class, Mystic may seem like a surprising choice for someone whose build goals include being super defensive, but it's the only way to get the primal spell list in the Starfinder, and we need that to make this build work. At least we get more hit points than the Pathfinder Fullcasters, with 8 plus con per level. And for saving throws, we only get expert in will saving throws, reflecting our semi-decent special defense. We get trained in perception, as well as 3 plus our intelligence skills of our choice. For weapons and armor, we're trained in up to light armor, so we can wear an assault vest if needed, and we can use up to simple weapons, somehow. For our attributes, our main score is going to be Wisdom, boosting both our spell attack rolls and our will saves. This takes us back to Gen 1, when special attack and special defense were just 1 stat. Weezing's next highest stat is Attack, so we'll use Strength as an approximation. Constitution is next. I consider Fortitude saves the closest we have to a defense stat. And finally, we have 1 more boost that we're going to put into Charisma, mostly because nowhere else seems to fit. Our Intelligence will remain untouched, while Dex is at a -1. Weezing is slow enough it will only ever outspeed in Trick Room. Now we move on to skills. Skills are a little tricky. Once again, Weezing is an entire species, not just a single character. We definitely need Legendary and Survival to reflect Weezing's tendency to thrive in the most inhospitable environments. And let's get Intimidation while we're at it. The skull in our face has to do something. We'll also get Expert in Society and Crafting to know where the best garbage is and to create perfume. And finally, we pick up training in Performance and Athletics, just because we have extra skill increases. Alright, we're finally at level 1. Now we can start taking our first steps into this seemingly impossible build. First things first, let's pick up the Elemental Connection in order to pick up the Primal Spell List. This gives us access to Mystic Bond as well as the Vitality Network. Weezing doesn't really have any healing moves in the games, but all the best builds use Black Sludge for some recovery. We also get an Ancestry feat at level 1. The Metabolic Manipulation feat is a good fit. With this, whenever we recover from a disease or poison, we become immune to that affliction for an entire day. Finally, for level 1, we get Mystic Spellcasting. As usual, we can't cover every spell, but here are some of the highlights. For our cantrips, the Puff of Poison spell is obviously a good start. This will reflect our poison gas move. And Gale Blast goes for more of Fairy Wind if you want a more Galarian Weezing build. For our rank 1 spells, we can take Acidic Burst to hit multiple creatures in a small area with some acid damage. And finally, Noxious Fumes conceals all creatures within 10 feet and deals some poison damage and can sicken foes on a failed save. Moving on to level 2, if you thought Mystic was a strange class selection, just wait until you hear we're picking up Monk Dedication, boosting our fist attack to D6s, and letting us ignore the non-lethal trait. Not bad for a creature without hands. At level 3, we get the Toughness General feat, increasing our hit points. We also get Reflex Expertise and the Group Chat feature, letting us keep allies out of harm's way from our area-based attacks. For our rank 2 spells that we also get at this level, Breath of Drought is a good substitute for Heat Wave. Or, for a more direct spell, you can use Mist to make an excellent smoke screen. Moving on, level 4 gives us Monk's Resiliency, giving us 3 extra hit points for every Monk feat we get this build. This will help us get a little bit more defensive. And at level 5, we can pick up the Vent Gas Ancestry feat, allowing us to fly with a 10-foot burst of speed, and leaving behind a cloud that grants concealment to all creatures within 5 feet. We also get to boost our Fortitude saves with Fortitude Expertise, and get access to 3rd rank spells, the most important of which is Stinking Cloud, which basically combines the Noxious Gas spell with the Mist spell. At level 6, we're going to pick up another use for that Vitality Network, that if you've been playing in character up until now, you've only been using to restore 1/16 of your maximum hit points to yourself each turn. The Bond Boost feat lets you use Aromatic Mist on an ally making a saving throw to increase their special defense, giving them a +2 bonus to that saving throw at the cost of 4 points from your Vitality Network. At level 7, the Fast Recovery General feat helps us recover from poisons and diseases, lowering our current stage by 2 every time we succeed, rather than by 1. It also lets us recover hit points twice as fast when resting, but who uses the resting rules? We also get our boost to our spell proficiency at this level, with Expert Spellcaster, as well as the Elemental Connection spell, Elemental Barrier. This makes a good acid armor, or at least that's what I would have said until I did a last minute fact check and realized for some reason Weezing can't learn acid armor. We still get the spell though, so I guess I won't tell if you won't. I'm sure your GM is super concerned about whether your Weezing character is 100% Pokemon accurate anyway. We also get 4th rank spells at this level. Solid Fog lets our smoke screen be difficult terrain, while Explosion of Rot spell is probably the closest we can get to the actual move Explosion, doing damage to everything within 20 feet, as well as enfeebling them on a failed reflex save. At level 8, we can make use of the fact that we are 2 coughing stuck together with a Tripartite Mind feat, letting us shunt a mental condition onto the smaller half at the cost of some of your Vitality Network. At level 9, the Convergent Evolution Ancestry feat lets us pick up the Venom Spit Ancestry feat from the Nagaji Ancestry feat list, giving us a way to spit poison on foes without having to rely on our precious spell slots. Think of this as a PP max. We also get more EV training and special defense at this level, with Resilient Soul, boosting our will saves to master, as well as counting all successful will saves as critical successes. For our rank 5 spells, Acid Storm lets us shoot more acid, while Confusing Cry can be reflavored as Strange Theme, confusing foes and turning them to our side. At level 10, we get Monk's Flurry, letting us get the Flurry of Blows feat from the Monk, adding the double hit move to our move pool, as well as 3 more hit points from Monk's Resiliency. Remember, Flurry of Blows just states that you need to make an unarmed attack. Your Nagaji Venom is an unarmed strike, so it definitely qualifies. At level 11, we get Numb to Death, letting us get extra hit points when our trainer revives us to send us back into battle. We also get the Epiphany spell, Elemental Nova, letting us flood the battlefield with poison. Just another poison gas spell. For our actual rank 6 spells, let's get Field of Razors. This is surprisingly not a poison or acid theme, but it does make a good substitute for the smooth spikes. At level 12, we get Perfection's Path, putting our Fortitude save to master, as well as netting us 3 more hit points from Monk's Resiliency. At this point, Monk's Resiliency has netted us about half a Toughness's worth of hit points, and you know how I feel about toughness. At level 13, we get the Corrosive Venting Ancestry feat, letting us leave a poison cloud behind when you vent gas, as well as increasing the emanation of that gas cloud to 10 feet. We also get Armor Expertise, boosting our armor proficiency, and rank 7 spells. Corrosive Body would make a great upgrade to your acid armor, if you had it. At level 14, we can pick up the Poisoner Dedication, as if we weren't good enough at poisoning our foes already. This lets us create 4 vials of poison each day. I think using these for inhaled poisons is the most fitting, but that's technically not a requirement, so go nuts. These aren't that good yet anyways, as they're only level 1 poisons that we can make, at least for now. At level 15, we get the Die Hard feat, meaning we can take a spatial rend from the god of space and not be dead. We'll still faint, but hey, not dead is always good. We also get massive proficiency in our spellcasting. Speaking of spells, we get 8th rank spells. And honestly, I'm having a hard time finding more spells that fit the character. Just heighten your lower rank spells so that you can upcast them. Level 16 gives us the Advanced Poisoner feat, giving us a PP up. Don't make the joke, don't make the joke, don't make the joke. This lets us make 6 poisons per day. At level 17, we can take Manifold Evolutions, letting us pick up both the Defensive Odor and the Noxious Odor feats. This allows us to emit an odor that not only does poison damage to a foe, but also makes them sickened on a failed save, so they can't eat berries, just like the Stench ability. Our normal spellcasting also maxes out at 9th rank at this level, giving us the Atomic Blast spell. This technically doesn't have to be used on yourself, but with a 100 foot radius, I feel confident saying you might as well make this a self-destruct. Or you can use Detonate Magic to do damage while you clear an opponent's buff, perfect for a clear smog. At level 18, we get the Expert Poisoner feat. This extends the poisons we can use, letting us use poisons up to our level -3. This lets us use poisons like Nightmare Vapor, Brimstone Fumes, and eventually Breathtaking Vapor to make the foes suffocate to death. These poisons are a little bit more realistic than the games, but they get the job done. At level 19, we get the general feat, Breath Control. I feel like I've put this on a lot of builds recently, despite how niche it is, but what can I say? When your shtick is that you use a lot of poison gases, it helps not to breathe in your own supply. Our spellcasting also goes to legendary proficiency at this level, and we get a 10th rank spell. Unfortunately, I'm at a loss for what to fill this slot with, so pick your favorite move and upgrade it to the highest level possible. And finally, at level 20, we get the Chemical Contagion feat, meaning whenever we inflict poison on a foe, that poison can spread to an adjacent enemy at the cost of a single reaction. Okay, so moving on to skills, we once again run into the problem that Weezing is a species and not a character, meaning you can have a variety of different playstyles based on how you want to play your character. I tried to pick skills feats based off of what I think are universal for the species, but really, as long as you pick up Urban Survival and Forager to survive in a junkyard, and maybe Terrain Expertise for a little bit of extra survivability, the rest of the skill feats are yours to customize to your liking. Go crazy. Alright, let's move on to the pros and cons. For starters, this build is what I like to call surprisingly defensive. It's a spellcasting build, but with spells like Mist to give us concealment, and Monk's Resiliency giving us a little bit of extra hit points, we can actually pretty consistently survive an attack from a martial, without always getting critically hit. And speaking of our Monk archetype, Powerful Fist or Spit Venom mixed with Flurry of Blows means we aren't as easy to bully as most casters if magic is turned off. And finally, even when we do get taken down, our poisons are long lasting, so we have things to contribute to the fight even after we're unconscious. However, don't get me wrong, this build has plenty of cons. For starters, our attacks only go up to expert proficiency, and they have no damage boost, so they're not going to do much in the way of damage. We may be able to fight off lower level enemies, but when it comes to boss monsters, stick to spells. Next, we may have a lot in the way of defensive options, but we're definitely not high enough constitution score or have enough hit points to feel comfortable taking damage like a martial would. And finally, we're a mystic with no ability to utilize our mystic's main feature, that being the Vitality Network. All things considered, once the class fully comes out, I'd heavily consider switching the Mystic class with the Monk archetype. That way you get the most of the Monk's defenses, while you still get the Mystic's poison spellcasting, and probably not nearly as many unused features. The only downside is that we get access to Monk's speed in that case, and that really doesn't fit Weezing's low speed stat. But it would still fit way better than this build does at times. Thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We're almost at 500 subscribers, and that was my goal to get to before the end of the year, and I would really love it if you helped us get there. If you're already subscribed, first off, thanks, it really means a lot. But second, make sure to comment, tell us what you think of this build, or who you'd like to see us make next time.